You met someone once and it happened fast. Too fast. Maybe it was during a night that fell apart, or an emergency, or a trip where everything went wrong, and out of nowhere, a near stranger felt like the most important person alive. You called it chemistry, maybe even fate. But what if that overwhelming pull had almost nothing to do with them, and almost everything to do with the danger you were standing in together? It's one of the strangest things about being human. The moments that should terrify you, the crisis, the near miss, the night everything went sideways, are often the exact moments you feel the most alive and the most bonded to whoever is beside you. Soldiers describe it, survivors describe it, and if you have ever felt it, you already know it doesn't feel like a trick. It feels like the truest thing in the world. That feeling has a mechanism, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. It starts on a bridge in Canada in 1974. Two psychologists, Donald Dutton and Arthur Aaron, wanted to know whether fear could be mistaken for attraction. So they set a trap. They chose two bridges. One was low, solid, and safe. The other was a narrow suspension bridge that swayed hundreds of feet above a rocky canyon, the kind that makes your stomach lurch with every step. As each man crossed, an attractive woman met him partway, asked him a few survey questions, and handed him her number in case he wanted to hear about the results. The men from the safe bridge mostly went home and never called. The men from the terrifying one called her far more often. Same woman, same number. The only thing that had changed was how frightened their bodies were when they met her. And the researchers checked their work. When they ran it again with a man waiting at the end of the scary bridge, almost no one called him back. The spike only appeared when the person on the other side was someone a man might want. It wasn't nerves making them chatty, it was attraction. In the decades since, the same pattern has turned up on roller coasters and after horror films. Anywhere the heart is already pounding before romance ever walks in. Here's the machinery, and it's stranger than it sounds. In the body, fear and attraction look almost identical. Racing heart, quick, shallow breath, a flood of adrenaline, muscles tight, the whole system on high alert. Your brain feels all that arousal, and then it has to guess what caused it. On a swaying bridge, that guess can go wrong. The brain feels the pounding chest, sees the person standing there, and draws a line between them. Fear gets relabeled as desire. Psychologists call it the misattribution of arousal, and it hints at something unsettling about you. Under the right conditions, your body can't reliably tell the difference between I'm in danger and I'm in love. The signal is nearly the same. Your mind writes the story afterward, and sometimes it writes the wrong one. Now take that mechanism and drop it into the middle of a war. A soldier and a young woman meet in a city that could be rubble by morning. His heart is already racing before he even notices her, from the sirens, from the uncertainty, from the nearness of death hanging over everything. His brain feels the surge, and like the men on the bridge, it can misread the cause. It looks at the pounding chest, looks at her, and decides this is what I'm feeling. Fear can tip into attraction, terror into tenderness. But there's a second, deeper layer, and it switches on the moment you remember that you are going to die. When researchers quietly reminded people of their own mortality, something strange happened. Their hunger for closeness didn't shrink. It grew. Faced with the end, people reached harder for each other. Psychologists built an entire framework to explain it, called terror management theory, first mapped by Sheldon Solomon and his colleagues in the 1980s. The idea underneath it is simple and a little haunting. You are, as far as anyone knows, the only animal that fully understands it will one day stop existing. That knowledge is so overwhelming that your mind spends enormous hidden energy holding it at arm's length. And when death presses right up against the glass, one of the few things that can quiet the fear is another person. To be loved is to be told you matter, that some part of you is held and remembered and safe. Later studies pushed the idea even further. Reminders of death didn't just make people want closeness, they made people want children. Faced with an ending, the mind reaches not only for connection, but for continuation. And history has already run this experiment on a scale no lab could ever match. The Second World War. Picture a single soldier somewhere in England who arrived a few weeks ago and is already asking a woman he barely knows to marry him. He wasn't reckless, and he wasn't alone. Between 1942 and 1952, roughly 1 million women, war brides from some 50 countries, married American servicemen. Couples who had known each other for weeks, sometimes days, promised each other a lifetime. They did it against every obstacle the military could invent. A mountain of paperwork, as many as 15 separate forms, the signed permission of a commanding officer. And still, they married by the million. Because the war had rewritten the math. Every siren whispered the same thing. There might not be a later. Ordinarily, love is slow. You meet, you circle each other for months, you wait until you're sure. But certainty is a luxury for people who expect a future. When tomorrow is not promised, the mind drops the slow, careful version of love and grabs the fast one. Why spend a year deciding when there might not be a year? This is what the history books miss. Death doesn't only make the feelings stronger, it strips away every reason to wait. You can watch the same pattern rise and fall in the numbers. In the Soviet Union, marriages surged in the summer of 1941, the exact moment the German invasion hit, and then slowly collapsed as the war ground on. Not because love disappeared, because terror became ordinary. When death stood closest, people ran toward each other. When its shadow faded into routine, the urgency cooled. None of these people were foolish, and their love was not fake. They were human beings running an ancient program, one written into you long before you were born. So come back to now. Back to that connection that arrived too fast, in the middle of something chaotic. It may not have been fate alone. It may have been this same mechanism, the one that carried a million brides across oceans, quietly running inside you. Your racing heart went looking for a reason, and it reached for the person standing closest. And that mechanism has not gone anywhere. It still runs today, in a world with no sirens at all. It's in the first date that doubles as a terrifying thrill ride. It's in the romance that catches fire during a shared crisis and cools once the calm returns. It's in the person you can't stop thinking about after one chaotic night. Your body is still blurring danger into desire, still reaching for someone as the ground shakes beneath you. That doesn't make what you feel any less real. But it does mean the intensity isn't always about them. Sometimes it's about how close you were standing to the edge. So the next time love hits fast and certain in the middle of chaos, there's one quiet question worth sitting with. Not whether it's real, but this. If the danger disappeared tomorrow and the ground went still, would this feeling still be standing there? Your mind is full of mechanisms like this one, ancient, invisible, quietly shaping the feelings you trust the most. This channel exists to drag them into the light, one strange human story at a time. If you want to see the science hiding underneath what makes you human, subscribe. There's always another story just beneath the surface.